So, welcome to another episode of Fight the Burnout with Chris. Today we have Susanna, or Susie as I call her. She and I met way back again. Another one of my really good friends from Date with Destiny. So many cool people from Date with Destiny, and she does some amazing stuff with teaching and educating teachers as well as doing teaching itself. So again, as usual, instead of me going on and possibly getting things wrong, I'll hand it over to Susie and let you introduce yourself.
Hi, so my name is Susanna, and yes, my friends call me Susie as well. And I create educational resources for teachers. So my big thing is creating content. I love to create content, and I'm also still teaching as well.
Oh, yeah, cool. Awesome, thanks for that, Susie. So obviously you create educational stuff for teachers and that and content. How long have you been doing that for?
A few years now.
A few years now. Cool, awesome. Now, obviously, we're talking about burnout today, and I know so many teachers that get burned out. So many. It's like cops. It's like all the first responders. I classify teachers as first responders because without them, we'd all be kind of screwed. So, what would for you, what would you classify burnout as?
Burnout as a teacher is when you reach a point where you're getting physically sick to the point where it's really difficult to do your job.
Okay, cool. And do you tell us about a time when you've had it? Like, tell us about.
Sure. So one of the things, so I started to get really sick and really sick and really sick and really sick. And one of the things that ended up by happening, one of the big things that stands out in my mind is one day I went to get my hair done at my hairdresser's, and he refused to do my hair. He looked at my scalp and he said, "I think you have head lice." And I said, I don't think I have head lice. And it turns out, because my scalp was full of red welts. And it turns out that it was just stress. I went to the doctors afterwards and it was just stress. And so I started to get a lot of physical symptoms. Like I was like keeling over sick to my stomach every single solitary day at work. I had what he thought was like I had red welts on my head. I had a headache until July every single day. And I didn't realize that it was until the end of June till after school was done. I didn't realize that, oh my God, this was just stress. I don't usually have a headache every day. So for me, it was a lot of physical symptoms.
Yeah. As we can tell, from, me interviewing lots of them, everybody has a different experience and a different definition of what burnout looks like for them. So what have you learned? What did you learn from that experience, to help yourself in the future to overcome it? Well, first off, to overcome, how'd you work through that? And then how do you still use those tools and stuff to prevent yourself from, experiencing that again?
So the biggest takeaway was self-care. I remember feeling like I was exhausted every single day and that I was never getting enough sleep. I get enough sleep now. That was really, really huge. And so really the big takeaway is self-care. Like it is so crazy important just to do the self-care, whatever that means, like always going to bed on time and eating well and the exercise, moving every single day. The movement's key. It's huge. And then changing your mindset a lot, focusing, making sure you're always focusing on the positive. The negative is always there and it will always exist, but to focus on the positive and you get more of it in life.
Was there a specific moment that you were like, oh my God, like I just need to do this? Or how'd you learn about it? Like, how'd you figure out that self-care was so important?
How did I figure it out? I remember being somewhere, I think I was at the doctor's office or something, and I just said, I'm just so tired all the time. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm never getting enough sleep. And then I realized later, I was thinking, the last couple of times I was here, I said the exact same thing. So I'm just not taking care of myself. And then it just accumulates and accumulates until the point where then I was just getting physically sick.
Right. So what do you do now to take care of yourself?
Massive morning routine, which completely changes everything. So for me now, it's really every day I wake up, I meditate, then I prime, then I exercise. Often I will journal too, especially if I have something in my head, I'm bugged about something, I will definitely journal. And every evening I do gratitude. I write in a gratitude journal. And so really like the daily stuff to take care of myself is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's for people, that say that are listening that don't quite know what priming is? I know what priming is. We're Day with Destiny together, and they concreted into you there. What is it that you do to prime?
So priming is so I literally listen to the Tony Robbins tape where he does like these arm things. I think it's called dragon breath in other people call it dragon breath. And so it just brings energy into you and you focus on certain things to feel grateful for. And the other thing is I use a lot of I am statements. And so we can all feel like we're not good enough or we're not enough or we're not anything. And so I use these, I repeat I am statements every single day to reinforce what I do want in my life and what I do want to feel. And I feel like it's really helpful. I find them really, really helpful.
Awesome. So, okay, that's perfect. That's really cool. So, let me ask you, Susie. I'm going to call you Susie because that's just we're friends. We've known each other for a while. We've worked together, all sorts of different stuff. So, do you have obviously you're still teaching now, so you'll still have people that are around you and stuff. And also, do you have a team that you work with at the moment with creating stuff, or is it just you?
Right now, it's just me.
Just you. So what would you say for those listening that do have a team? What would you recommend them for? Obviously you don't have a team yet, but you have those that you work around. What do you do to help the people around you to be able to, really the team around you that you teach with? How do you, what do you do to help make sure that, or give them tools and stuff so that they don't end up where you did?
So often what ends up happening is people will say, wow, you seem really happy today. And then I'll just say, I went for a run. I did yoga. I went for a walk. I meditated and then I did exercise. I will always tell them so that they know that it's not just by accident that I feel really happy and I'm up and I'm in a good mood. It's because I've taken the time and put the effort into making sure that I'm on target every day.
Yeah. Awesome. So you really enjoy teaching. I know you do. We've talked about this in the past, and you enjoy creating that content so you can then help teachers to be able to teach more efficiently.
Exactly.
So what is it, as you've known for a while, I'm a huge why guy. I like to know what your why is, your purpose. So what would you say it is that, drives you? What is that why for you that drives you, not just in the easy times, but also in the hard times?
My why that drives me in the hard times when I really don't want to do anything and it's like I'm really struggling is I say to myself, I care about me. I care about me. I love me. No matter what else is going on, I love me and I care about me. And that's reason enough to get up and go for the walk, and because I care.
Yeah.
And if I don't care, who else is going to care?
Yeah. So that drives you when you're creating content, when you're doing, helping, you're teaching and all of that as well.
So that drives me. The I care about me drives me when it comes time to taking care of myself.
Yeah.
What drives me in order to create content is because the better that I get at it, the more that I can help other people. And so when I left classroom teaching. When I left classroom teaching, I created 4 years of content that took me hours and hours, and I spent so much time on it. And I thought, well, I only know a handful of people who are teaching the same thing that I could help. But there are thousands of people out there wasting their weekends and their evenings and putting all their time and effort into something that I already made. And then I know that it covers exactly what needs to be covered and is successful and the kids like it. So I want to make sure other people can have that. We don't need to constantly recreate the wheel. Let's get out there and just have this available so that it can help others.
So it's all about, so when you're creating content, you're teaching that stuff and you're pushing it out there, and sometimes when that's really difficult, your why would be to make it easier for other people.
Exactly.
I like that. Tell us a little bit more about what it is that you actually, that you do and how you do it. I'm intrigued.
So what I actually do, in my last few years of classroom teaching, we all needed to start using technology in the classroom. We had technology, but we weren't really using it in the classroom very much. And so what I started to do was PowerPoint. I started to create PowerPoint slides. Now, the first time I did it, I didn't even know how to create a PowerPoint slide. And I had this amazing group of kids that I loved. Some years you have like great kids and some years you have really great kids. I had a really great group of kids. And so I put like all this time and effort in. My principal said, you have 1 week to start using technology in the classroom. I didn't know what to do. I put all my time and effort into it. And then I created content that not only was educational, but used movement and dance and art and a lot of things. And so when I showed it to my class, when I showed it to the kids, nobody said anything. And I was like, oh my God, please let them like it. Oh my God, please let them like it. Because I worked so hard on it. And nobody said anything. And eventually somebody said, Miss, can I get up and dance to the video that was part of like this educational stuff I was teaching? And I said, sure. And then another and another and another. And then a pile of them were up dancing. And at the end, a bunch of kids in the class gave me a standing ovation. And I just like, I had tears in my eyes. And since then, like, I just loved to create content. I went and I became a graphic designer so that I can create really great content. And I just spent hours and hours and hours on it. It's just the thing I love to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Susie, you've got this massive passion for this. You've gone through that burnout while you're, teaching people, teaching class and that. Now I know so many teachers. I mean, I've got my sister-in-law's a teacher, my mother-in-law's a teacher. I've known so many different teachers, and so often they're literally going, oh, I hate this, I hate that, all these different things. And I talked to them about their why, but coming from another teacher, if somebody is unsure of their why, or say they've lost their why of teaching, say they've been doing it for many, many years, and maybe they've lost their why or purpose for what they're doing, and they're just going there to pick up that paycheck, clip the ticket. What advice would you give them for figuring that why out so they can get back on track and get back to loving what they do, the reason why they got into it? Love what they do.
So one of the things Tony said once in a seminar where he had a teacher who just said, it was just the drudgery and the whatever, was something about to have her focus on building lifelong learners, like to have her remember what it is that brought her there in the beginning. Yeah. Why did you even become a teacher? Like, what was it about teaching that you really wanted to do? And so it's keep bringing that back and bringing that back and bringing that back to what was it that you were passionate about, and to remember that nowhere in life is going to be perfect. The 10% are always going to be there. You can spend your life focusing on the 10% and make your life a living hell, or you can focus on 90% and really enjoy it.
Yeah. Is that what you did?
I was always trying to focus on the 90%.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 10%.
Yeah, I remember that recording. I heard that as well. Yeah, it was like, why was it that you joined? Why was it that you started becoming a teacher in the first place? And it was like, that's this and this, okay. And you focus on that every single day. And what's the identity that you tie yourself to? And I remember she said initially she tied herself to like having to like babysit children. He's like, far out, I wouldn't enjoy that. And then she changed it to actually, I forget exactly what it was, but it was literally like a gatekeeper of knowledge or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. And so what would what's the number one piece of advice that you'd give, to listeners? We have people from all sorts of different types of listeners. But what would be one piece of advice you'd give to listeners when it comes to teaching? Teaching, either creating content to teaching to create content, or just teaching in general, because obviously you have a lot of knowledge in that teaching side.
Self-care. You must take care. So, and even now, I work with older people as well. And even now, the big thing is really, if we were cars, You would not work without gasoline.
Mm.
You must take care of yourself. It's an absolute must. It's absolutely necessary. And whatever that means for you, you know, whether it's water or sleep or whatever, or not pushing through and just working for 5 or 6 hours, but getting up and taking breaks every hour, whatever it is for you, that you know how to do it to take care of you, or making sure your phone's in the other room and don't bring it into your bedroom and don't be looking at it and scrolling at it or getting it on every morning or constantly focusing on the negative news. Whatever your self-care is for you, you really do know what it is. You need to do it. It's a must.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we've got COVID going on right now where we're all isolated. And I've talked to so many teachers and they're like, oh my God, you know, how do I do this? And now, like here in New Zealand, they're going back to school next week, but not all kids have to go back. I have no idea how they're actually doing it, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I've done homeschool, but they're still here. They're actually still teaching the whole class. So the kids are actually in front of a computer the whole class time instead of just giving them lessons to do. And you complete it as fast. That's what I had. You got these lessons that you got to do, get them done as fast as you can and learn it all. But what piece of advice would you give to teachers, you know, in these times at the moment that we have? Because obviously there are different times than we've ever had before where kids aren't at school, but you're still having to teach them and you've got all this different stuff. So you have more time, but less time. What would you give? What kind of advice would you give to teachers for that?
I would say get on Teachers Pay Teachers, which is where I sell my stuff. Get on Teachers Pay Teachers and buy the resource for, you know, $1, $2, $3. Really, like, why kill yourself? It's already there. It's already done. Don't kill yourself in recreating something that is already there.
Yeah.
Use what other people have done. Use what other people have done. Other people have walked the path before you. Let them help you.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, definitely use the knowledge from other people instead of trying to bust your gut, trying to create it yourself. Yeah, no, that's definitely right. So if somebody's looking for your services, I think you may have just told us, but if somebody's looking for your services and they want to get in touch with you, pick your brain, talk about things, you know, pay you to help them, or even just buy what you've created, where do they go? How do they get in touch?
So should I just leave an email address, or?
It can be an email address. I'll punch it in. I'll drop it into the description below so that they have it, so they can click on it, grab it, and email or go to a website or whatever it is, however is best for you.
So so if it's a teacher, I'm happy to have you take a look at my teacher store, Teachers Pay Teachers, and my name is Suzanne Prevost, and Chris will included. And then if you are creating a course and you want somebody to create on any type of a course and you want somebody to create your content for your online course, I'm more than happy to help. And I will give Chris my email address in the bottom so you can contact me directly.
Awesome. Cool. So it'll just be down in whether you're watching this video or you're listening to this, it'll be down in the comments, you know, the description of what this podcast is all about. Last question, and I like to ask everybody this question. What is one thing you would tell viewers to help prevent, or even if they're already currently in a burnout stage, what would be the one thing you would tell viewers to prevent or counter burnout?
Number one, I would say listen to your body, but I would include another one: meaning, movement, and visualization. So whatever meaning you give a situation is how you're going to see it. So a glass can fall and break. Do you see that as a horrible, bad, tragic thing? Or do you just see that as the action of a glass fell and broke? Right? So you decide on the meaning of anything. Movement, no matter what's happening to you, if you're in a bad state, if you're in a bad mood, you must move. Movement will get you out of it. It will get you out of your head. Reach out. And then visualization, really visualize what it is you do want. Visualize the great, wonderful day that you do want to have every day. Visualize your goals. Visualize your dreams. So those would be my big things, especially if you feel like you're in a burnout. Listen to your body. If you need to rest, rest. And then if you're in your head and really upset, move. You must move every day.
No, I love that. Yeah, as you know my story, you know, I was burned out quite bad, you know, in the police, and that went off and did a motorcycle trip around the U.S. because with the counselor's help, I figured out that that's what I needed to do. I needed to reset, like a big shock to the system. And yeah, it was literally, that's what that whole trip for, it forced me to focus on the here and the now, not create that story around everything that's going on, and forced me to move, to get, to do the things that I knew I needed to do, like going and talking to people and not hermiting in when I'm not a hermit. Yeah, no, that's amazing tips. So, again, remember, it's meaning, what was it? Meaning, move, and visualization.
Meaning, movement, visualization, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, big thing. Is there anything else that you want to let our viewers know, Susie?
Water and sleep.
Water and sleep. Water, sleep, self-care.
Water. You must sleep it up every day.
Yeah, water, sleep, and self-care.
Eat healthy. Garbage in,
Awesome.
garbage out.
Awesome, Susie. Well, thanks again for being on the show. I know I got a lot out of that. It's good to hear things, even things that I already preach and I already do. It's good to hear it concreted in, but also learn new things like the self-care. I'm a huge advocate for it, as well as the visualization. I talk about that a lot, but just how you concrete it in there, just how important it actually is something that stuck out real hardcore for me.
Nice.
Again, everybody who's listening or watching, like, subscribe, comment, give us a review, let us know what you thought, who you'd like us to interview. We always want to know, who you guys want to listen to, as well as, leave a comment. Just let us know how you liked it. But remember, every Friday New Zealand time, we drop a new episode, and maybe we'll start doing more depending on how many people we get interviewing. But it is every Friday morning New Zealand time. And until the next one, remember, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and as Susie said, take care of yourself, because you're the most important person out there.